Sup, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of the Flea Flicker. Not only will we be picking the 4 games in the divisional round, we also have a couple of coaching changes to talk about. But first of all, I'm TimmyB, joined by my co-host, Joey D. Joey D, a little bit of snow down there in South Carolina. Fortunately, we don't have snow, but it's like 15 degrees up here, so it's still pretty cold. But how are you doing today, man?
Tim, great. It's the first time I've seen snow down here since I think my freshman year of college back in like 2014. I think it's about 2 inches, so nothing too crazy, not like we're used to up north.
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool. Brooke doesn't get to experience snow much at all, or hasn't really in her life, so she got to enjoy that. And now we're snowed in, get to talk some football and then watch some football, baby.
Yeah, 2 inches isn't that crazy, but it is down in South Carolina. Believe me, I remember that snowstorm as well. But anyways, folks, let's hop right into it. Before we do that, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and also hit that subscribe button as well, because it's fun to do so. All right, Joe. So as we mentioned, we got a couple of things, I guess, in kind of off-season mode for some teams who are in the off-season, like the Eagles and Ravens now.
That's right.
But we got some coaching changes. But I think the big news is the Giants found their GM, Joe Schoen, from the Buffalo Bills. And also, they completed an interview with Brian Daboll, the offensive coordinator. So seems to be a leading candidate, but I just saw this morning that Brian Flores is on his way for an interview, or they just conducted the interview. So it looks like it's either they're going to go offensive and stick with the GM's guy, the Bills, Brian Daboll, or go with a nice young head coach who's proven to be somewhat of a winner, and Brian Flores. But Joe, what are your thoughts on this GM hire? I kind of like it. I mean, Bills are a great team right now. One of the main guys to help draft Josh Allen, bring in Stephon Diggs, bring in a couple of these guys on defense. Running game, not so much, but luckily the Giants do have Saquon Barkley, so maybe don't have to worry about that. But what are your thoughts on this, I guess, GM change and a couple of these coaching interviews?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think it's a very smart move by the Giants. Looks like a good hire, and that they're, finally starting to handle, kind of the management stuff in a better way and have a better process, rather than kind of going internal routes or someone they already have connections with, just going with the best possible hire available. And I think it's really interesting that, the Bills have kind of become a model organization for the NFL over the last couple of years, since Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane came in and, just kind of gutted that organization. A lot of people were, kind of ripping them for that at the time, but now, Brandon Beane's right-hand man gets hired as the Giants GM. Brian Daboll, the offensive coordinator, is looking like he's going to get hired as a head coach. Leslie Frazier, the D coordinator, also getting some head coaching buzz. So, it's really interesting how the Bills have kind of turned it around to this level when, they haven't even won a Super Bowl yet. But, great call by the Giants. Unfortunately, they really had nowhere to go but up. So, this is a smart move by them, and hope for them. I'm sure they're hoping that it can kind of get them back in the right direction of being relevant in the NFL once again.
Especially with a couple of first-round picks in the top 10, that'll definitely do it for you. And then another coaching change that happened, the Panthers hired Ben McAdoo, former Giants offensive coordinator, as well as, I guess, head coach for a year or two. Didn't quite work out. Going down to Carolina and Sam Darnold, Christian McCaffrey, I'm kind of laughing at this one, Joe. I mean, Ben McAdoo, really? He still has a job in the NFL?
I don't get it, Tim. I mean, you fired Joe Brady and replace him with Ben McAdoo. It doesn't really make much sense to me on paper, but my sources say that the one and only Alex Fabregat is a big fan of the move and thinks that maybe Ben McAdoo should even be promoted to head coach as early as right now. I don't know.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
He has some outrageous takes, but, my sources – I don't want to reveal my sources, but it's his dog. So, he says that he's a Ben McAdoo guy. I don't know if Fab's Twitter says otherwise, who knows the truth. But I don't like it for the Panthers. I think that this is, a move that it just baffles me. I mean, of all people to hire to replace Joe Brady, who was such a hot name for so long, you go with Ben McAdoo, the guy who benched Eli Manning for Geno Smith and broke his streak of consecutive starts. I know Giants fans hate Ben McAdoo for that, and I'm sure he'll find a way to get Panthers fans to hate him too. So we'll see what happens there, Tim. But that Panthers prediction you had at the beginning of
Yeah,
the
right.
season, it's kind of took a big U-turn real fast. And hey, if the Eagles are one of the teams that can beat you, you must not be
Well,
that good, right?
you know what, Joe? As we found out this year, anybody can be the 7 seed in the playoffs. So maybe that Panthers prediction wasn't too crazy, but yeah, very interesting move for sure. And when Ben McAdoo had a pretty decent offense being offensive coordinator, he had Eli Manning, he had a solid running game, he had a couple of decent wide receivers and a tight end. So we'll see if he can work together with probably a quarterback that they might draft or acquire in free agency or trading or whatever. But Christian McCaffrey, but again, it's health concerns with Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore and all them. And then moving on to the defensive side of some coaching changes, my Baltimore Ravens parted ways with a defensive coordinator, Wink Martindale, after about 4 or 5 years of being the defensive coordinator. And
He was with off for 10 years, right?
yeah, but defensive coordinator for the last 4 or 5. I think he was D-line or linebackers or something like that. But I think the move makes sense. And call me crazy, but our defense wasn't that great this year. And of course, you can always blame injuries, which we did have some. But I just don't get how Wink Martindale is known for creative blitzes, but we've been in the bottom half of the league in sacks, and that's been our huge issue the last few years is we can't get to the quarterback. And then we see guys like the guy on the Packers, Darius Smith. We see a guy like Matt Judon. We see a couple of these guys leave in the last few years. And generally, when a Ravens defensive player would leave the team, they wouldn't do so hot. They would go get the money like Paul Kruger, Anthony Weaver, a couple of other guys would leave the Ravens and get the money and then not do as well. Now we're seeing kind of the opposite of that is we're seeing some defensive players leave and doing really good and getting 10 plus sacks a season, being all pro bowl, all that stuff. And so I think it's the right move. Me personally, what I want, and I've been saying this all year, Joe, is we need to create turnovers. And recently, because of Joe Flacco's amazing playoff run, and now it's the playoff time, we see some highlight videos, and this team, like, our defense just hasn't had that swag to me. You know what I mean? Like a couple years ago, we just had that swag. Of course, we had Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and Terrell Suggs, some of the best defensive players in the modern era in all of football, right? So we just had that swag, and we haven't had that really. We haven't and I want somebody young. Everybody's throwing out names on Twitter, and it's just a bunch of old dudes. I don't want that, Joe. Like, look at all the successful look at the NFC. 3 of the head coaches are like 40 years old. Look at some of these hot coordinators that people want to hire, like Brian Leftwich, Gerard Mayo, not a coordinator, but not a defensive coordinator. But look at all these guys. I mean, D'Amico Ryans in San Francisco. Give me a young guy who's played in the last, 10 years or so, can bring that swag, can bring that energy level, can relate to the players. I don't need another old white guy being like, well, we're going to blitz and we're going to run the 3-4 and, maybe get some turnovers. Nah, dude, I need that big trust energy on the defense. I need that swag. And, I think it is time for a shakeup. And everybody says Greg Roman. And I'm in a lot of Twitter arguments because I seem to be the only Ravens fan who thinks Greg Roman should not be fired. But I think that's a kind of change that we need because we saw a couple of years ago, we were right there, 14-2. Last year, we won a playoff game. I mean, we were in the playoff race until the end with our B squad this year. So I definitely think that some sort of change needed to happen. And hopefully we go a little bit younger and just bring the swag back, and I know it sounds gimmicky, but let's get like some turnover change type shit. Let's have a party, and that's what our defense has been lacking, but I'll stop talking. Joe, what were your thoughts on this decision by the Ravens?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I agree with you on this, Timmy B. I mean, the Ravens defense they were so injured this year. How can you ask him to dial up a bunch of blitzes and leave these guys that should be on the practice squad and one-on-one with a Jamar Chase or starting wide receivers? It hasn't had a lot to work with there. And, you're talking about not getting, you need some of those young studs there in the defense and playmakers. He only can coach, right? There's at the end, at some point, we got to put this on Eric DeCosta as well.
Yeah.
He's not adding enough talent to the defense. So I don't know, Tim. In my mind, I feel like, the offense has had more question marks, and maybe you guys did go with the wrong coordinator, Tim.
I disagree. I wholeheartedly disagree with you. I don't understand how, and it's funny seeing Ravens Twitter, and they're like, Yo, look at how good our offense is the last 3 years, and when we're healthy and can't wait for 2022, and then they're like, but also fire the offensive coordinator. It's like, what? Where's that logic coming in? I can see it, and people are like, really, like Wink, and again, the interest and all that stuff. I think it's more of a business decision. I think that was a huge decision because he had one more year remaining on his contract. So a lot of teams were like, we'll just wait a year. Like we'll fire our coach next year and then hire Wink Martindale or give him an interview. So it could be a little bit of that. I hear sources saying that if a specific college coach that might be related to a Ravens coach moves to the Vegas Raiders, he's bringing Wink with him. So that's something that I have heard, but we'll see. And I just really hope, yeah. I want the swag back. I want the swag back, Joe.
I hear you, Tim. I hear you. Everyone always wants the swag when they don't have it. That's what my little brother always tells me. He wishes I hadn't gotten all the swag.
Like this morning, since generally this is conference championship weekend in the old schedule, somebody reposted because I guess today is the anniversary or close to the Eagles winning the NFC championship, and so somebody reposted the like dreams and nightmares. Like they're just all. I was like, the Ravens don't have that. I was like, we need that. And then it's funny, like toward the end, Nate Sudfeld comes in and he's like the whitest guy in the video. It's so hilarious. But that's what we need.
Nate
like
Sudfeld.
Right. Like just seeing like that entire team in defense just like bopping in pregame. Like the Ravens defense hasn't had that the last few years. So again, we'll see. But enough about the Ravens, Joe. We're here to discuss the divisional round of the playoffs because we got 4 games featuring 8 teams, obviously, because 4 times 2 is 8 for those of you who can't do math on a Saturday.
Shout out Fab.
And generally speaking, Joe, looking at these 8 teams, if you said this season, who are the 8 best teams? I'm probably listing all 8 of these teams, or at least putting them in the top 10 or top 12. So that's good news, is that, generally speaking, the playoff system is kind of working and we're getting the best of the best playing each other. Now, is it 1, 8, 2, 7, 3, 6, 4, 5? No. But hey, you just got to play the teams on your schedule. So you ready to hop into some picks?
Let's get it, Timmy B.
Okay, starting off later this afternoon, first game of the day, we got the Cincinnati Bengals at the Tennessee Titans. At the current time, the Titans are a 4-point favorite, and the over-under is 47.5. Now, Derrick Henry got activated yesterday. He is going to start. He said he's ready to handle workload. I don't expect a huge Derrick Henry 25, 30 carry type of workload, but it could happen. I'm not ruling it out. But that was a big issue this week, was they were trying to get him some more contact in practice and all that stuff. So that is a huge return for the Tennessee Titans. Bengals obviously getting their first playoff win, riding hot with that offense and Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I believe any update on Trey Hendrickson? I didn't see anything this morning. Joe, did you see anything?
Yeah, he has had the injury designation removed. So he's a
beautiful
full go.
Okay, perfect. So Joe, got the Bengals and we got the Titans. Give me your thoughts and who's your pick?
Yeah, I know you mentioned you don't know what Derrick Henry's workload's going to look like. I'll be interested to see. I think Ian Rappaport said something along the lines of, because he hasn't played in the last 2-3 months, he's actually a lot healthier and a lot closer to 100% right now than he normally would be at this point in the season, when his body's taken, a lot of a beating. So I think it's just a matter of making sure he's in football shape and condition. But, in the couple games that we did see this season, when the Titans had their full arsenal of Derrick Henry, Julio Jones, and A.J. Brown on the field, I'm pretty sure they averaged like 7 or 8 yards per play. And, just having that threat of Derrick Henry, teams have to play the Titans offense differently. You have to make sure that they're not going to just hand the ball off to Derrick Henry. And then that gives one-on-one opportunities for A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, tight end Ferkser can sneak in there a little bit. And Tannehill is also a good athlete who can make you pay on the ground with his legs. So, I worry about how the Bengals defense can really stop a team like that. They've got Jesse Bates back there in the secondary, but nobody else in the secondary really gives me confidence in terms of being able to go one-on-one with, a Julio or A.J. Brown and stop them. So I think that the Bengals are going to try to, instead of going all out to stop the run, I think they're going to make Derrick Henry and the Titans prove that they can run the ball before they start
Ooh.
going away from, kind of having a too high a safety look so that A.J. Brown and Julio Jones don't destroy them this game. It's going to be tough for the Bengals to win this one, Tim. They're having a great season, a lot better than anybody expected, and they got the playoff win. But what the Titans have done this year without all of these guys, I think it's such a testament to Mike Vrabel and the entire staff and the resiliency of the team. Now they're at full strength for the most part. I feel good about the Titans in this one, Tim. Give me the Titans, the home team. I think they win, and I'm hoping it's a good game and Joe Burrow fights. And I'd be happy to see the Bengals get the win. I don't really care either way. I just want to see a good game. But I think that the Titans are, they're also a more veteran team right now. I mean, they've made it to the playoffs the last couple of years and been able to compete. And again, just overcome so much adversity this season. So, we'll see what happens with the Bengals, but, I just don't see them overcoming, if they get down 10, 14 points early, versus if the Titans did, I'd feel more confident in the Titans coming back than I would about the Bengals, because we just haven't seen them really have to overcome that much adversity this season.
Yeah, Joe, I think that can definitely happen. I'm going to give you a little bit of playoff history, Joe, when it comes to the Tennessee Titans, okay? Divisional round, 1993, loss at home. Let's see, 2000, division, loss at home to the Baltimore Ravens, 2000 Ravens, best defense in the history of the NFL. Let's see, 2002, division, at home, overtime win, so still a close game. 2003 division loss on the road though. 2008 division at home, loss to the Ravens. Joe Flacco rookie season, baby. Don't forget it. Let's see. Division in division 2017 loss, but on the road. Last year, a loss at home on the road to my Baltimore Ravens. So Joe, there's a pattern here. Titans home playoff game against an AFC North team. They don't do too well. Their only win was in overtime. And you know what, Joe? I alluded to this yesterday. It's upset Saturday, baby. Give me the Bengals. I'm riding with Joe Burrow. But I think the big thing is, Joe, is this Titans secondary going up against Jamar Chase and the passing offense of the Bengals. First few weeks of the season, we were saying, sheesh, this Titans D is not the Titans defense anymore. Not saying that they're going to return to that old form, but I can definitely see the Bengals putting up points. I think that they can contain Derrick Henry. They're going to have a very similar strategy to what the Ravens did last year, because fun fact, we only gave up Derrick Henry like 41 rushing yards last year in the playoffs. I do agree with you. He's got some fresh legs, but honestly, I'm going with the Bengals. I'm riding them. And I know I've rode the Panthers. I know I've ridden some other teams this year, but give me the Bengals. The Bengals are the right kitty cats to get it done, not the Panthers. I'm going with the Bengals to pull off the upset, Joe. So good. We're opposite again.
Yeah, Tim, I would ask, when in all those games you listed, were the Titans ever the 1 seed or the 2 seed and had a bye going into those games?
Pretty much all of them. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
The Titans, I don't remember.
You can't have a home divisional game if you aren't the 1 or 2 seed.
Can you not? Huh, I guess.
Well, in the old playoff format, when the first 2 teams get a bye.
Interesting. Well, we'll see how that goes. I don't know. I feel like they're healthy, they're rested. This is the best version of the Titans that we're going to see all season. Sure. And again, they've been here before, and they know how to win these games. I think that they got it.
All right. Well, let's see. We'll find out later tonight, my friend. And then the game later tonight as well, after this Bengals and Titans game, we got the San Francisco 49ers at the Green Bay Packers. Currently, at the time, the Packers are a 5.5-point home favorite. Over under is 47. Joe, we got Aaron Rodgers in what might be his MVP, his revenge season, his final season in Green Bay. 49ers, probably one of the hotter teams in the NFL coming in, beating the Cowboys last week, playing some good ball. These teams played in, I believe, week 2 or week 3, Sunday Night Football. 49ers went up, and then they gave Aaron Rodgers like 30 seconds, and everybody was like, that's way too much time for Aaron Rodgers. And boy, was it, because they went down. Mason Crosby kicked a field goal for the Packers 30-28 victory. So these 2 teams played. Now, that was way back in September. Obviously, these teams have different styles and been playing some different football since then. But Joe, 49ers, Packers, Lambeau Field. All the weather this weekend looks pretty good. Pretty clear in Tennessee. Just going to be a little bit cold. tonight in Green Bay. There's always a couple of chances for flurries up in Green Bay, but nothing too serious, just a cold game. So, Joe, thoughts on who's your pick in this 49ers Packers?
Yeah, in the playoffs in Aaron Rodgers' career, he's 0-3 against the 49ers. I
Oh,
thought that was
that's
pretty
not good.
interesting. Yeah, not great. But this Packers team is healthy. Some of the healthiest they've been all season. I think Zadarius Smith is back.
Yeah.
David Bakhtiari should be back.
Huge addition to that offense.
I think Marcus Valdes-Scantling is listed as doubtful for this game. So that is I think going to be a concern since he's the deep threat who can stretch the field and kind of open things up a little bit more for Davante Adams. And, now they don't have to, worry about that. So that could help out a shaky 49er secondary. But, ultimately it's Aaron Rodgers versus Jimmy Garoppolo. We got Davante Adams going up against, Emmanuel Mosley. I just feel like this Packers team is talented. 49ers have had a great run. And, Nick Bosa, I believe, is healthy and has no injury designation.
Like Trey Hendrickson, his injury. I saw that this morning. So Nick Bosa, yay.
So, for the Niners, they've got to be able to run the ball effectively and just try to keep this out of Aaron Rodgers' hands and, win time of possession. You're not going to win a shootout against the Packers, especially when your defense isn't as, elite as it had been the past couple of years. But I think it should be a good game. It's going to be an emotional game for a lot of people involved. And, I just think that ultimately it comes down to Rodgers versus Jimmy G. So I'm going with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers to get the win. I think Davante Adams is going to have a big game as well. Those two know, hey, if we have one-on-one coverage, it's coming to me. They're not idiots like Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith and Nick Sirianni and just aren't going to take advantage of those matchups. So I think that they take advantage of them early and often. And, that's really going to be the story of the game, that Rodgers and Davante Adams could not be stopped.
Yeah. No, I think that can definitely happen. But Joe, we've been saying for the last month, come January, you run the ball and you play defense. Right now, the 49ers can run the ball. The front eight can definitely play some defense, and it can't be upset Saturday. If I don't pick the 49ers here, Joe, Aaron Rodgers is 0-3 against the 49ers in the playoffs. Make that 0-4. I think this is going to be a close game. It's going to be probably very high scoring, and I think Jimmy G probably won't turn it over as much. I mean, he did have that bad interception last week. I just like that running the ball and playing the defense once again, kind of like the Bengals. Riding with the 49ers right now. Is that gonna hurt me or help me or hurt me? Who knows? I'm going with the 49ers in this one. I think they're going to be running the ball. Kyle Shanahan's going to draw up some good running plays, some creative running plays. Packers run defense hasn't been that fantastic, especially coming into the final stretch of the season. And we'll see about Aaron Rodgers. Will he go out like Brett Favre in his last pass in a Packers uniform, be an interception in the playoffs? We'll see, Joe.
We'll see, Tim.
We'll see. So I'm going with the 49ers. I'm sorry, that Favre interception was when he was on the Vikings. Excuse me. But still, this could be Aaron Rodgers' last game in a Packers uniform. But moving on to Sunday, Joe. Sunday. The first matchup is the NFC matchup. We got the Rams at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, defending Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Buccaneers are a 2.5-point favorite. The over-under is 48. Like the 49ers and the Packers, these two teams played in, I believe, week 3. Buccaneers at the Rams. Rams won. Matt Stafford 4 TDs, I believe 3 in the air, 1 rushing was his numbers. And at that point, we were like, all right, Rams are legit. They're the team this year. Then they fell off a little bit, resurged a little bit. Matt Stafford got his first playoff win. Obviously, Tampa Bay, Tom Brady. Still unsure about Tristan Wirfs and Ryan Jensen. I believe even if they have one, that's still huge. If they're missing both, could be a rough day for that Tampa Bay offensive line against Aaron Donald and Von Miller for sure. But if they at least get one of them back, I would say, I mean, the right tackle played bad against the Eagles last week, worst replacement. But to me, Ryan Jensen's such a great center. Aaron Donald is right across from that center. So if I had to choose, I'd probably go with Ryan Jensen, the center in this one. But Joe, Rams, Bucks, give me your thoughts and who's your pick?
Yeah, I think this should be another really good game. It's tough. Like you said, the Rams had such a great game against the Bucks earlier this season. I can't remember what the score of that game was, but I feel like the Rams won kind of handily. That's why we were really touting the Rams at that time.
TimmyB is on it.
Let's go, Tim. Hustle up, baby. I can't move on to my next point without knowing the answer.
It was Rams 34, Buccaneers 24. But it was all right. It was 21-7. It was 31-14, 31-17. And then they got a garbage time touchdown. So it was 34-17, touchdown by Giovanni Bernard with a minute left, made it 34-24.
And that's also with the Bucs at full strength.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was when they had Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, healthy Leonard Fournette,
Right.
and Ronald Jones. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this game goes. I know the Bucs defense is healthier than they were when they played, so I think that we shouldn't see Matt Stafford throw for 4 touchdowns again this week. Ultimately, I'm going to go with Tom Brady and the GOAT, Tim. I mean, they're at home. They just did this last year. And I mean, we've seen them lose to teams in the regular season like the Saints and then be able to beat them in the postseason. So I'm confident that they're going to be able to get it done again. Fournette should be back this week. But, some really good matchups with, Jaylen Ramsey versus Mike Evans, Aaron Donald versus Jensen and Ali Marpet, the other offensive guard.
Then on the flip side, I mean, Vita Vea and the Rams offensive line, like this is a good in the trenches type of game.
Absolutely. And, the way to, slow down Tom Brady is to get that interior pressure and only have to rush 4. So the Rams are well equipped to do this. I mean, if there's a defense that can slow down the Bucs, especially when, they've only got Mike Evans out there at receiver, it's Mike Evans versus Jaylen Ramsey. If Jaylen Ramsey can erase Mike Evans, we're going to need to see a lot of Gronk, who we didn't really see a lot of against the Eagles. So I wonder what that scheme is going to look like for the Rams to slow him down, because they're, I think, missing one of their starting safeties now this week. And that back secondary and linebackers, I mean, really outside of Jaylen Ramsey, there's not like a star there, but they do their jobs well and they play good defense. If they're able to limit the Bucs offense and, the Rams offense doesn't turn the ball over and can run the ball, this will be a close game, but I just worry that Stafford's going to be asked to throw a lot this game. And there's going to be some untimely turnovers while the Bucs are going to do the opposite. I mean, if Brady's asked to throw the ball, especially in crunch time, we know he's gonna get it where it needs to get them the win.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the best part about this weekend and these 8 teams is that I can make a case for all 8 teams winning and even potentially winning the Super Bowl this year. So we're getting some great games this weekend. But kind of like your thought process with the 49ers and Packers, we got Matt Stafford, we got Tom Brady. I'm going with Tom Brady. I'm going with the Buccaneers. I think you said everything that I was going to say. And then I know recently when the Rams were struggling toward the end, everybody was saying, you can take Matt Stafford off the Lions, but you can't take the Lions off of Matt Stafford. So I do agree with you. I think if I had to choose, I would say Matt Stafford probably has a costly interception or fumble late in the game to really switch that momentum to maybe take it from a 1-score game to a 2-score game. And then you're going to have to force him to just throw down the field. Also on the flip side, the running game as well. We're talking about quarterbacks, Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Gronk, but you got to look at the run game as well. Rams run game has been an issue all season. Now they got Cam Akers back, but it's been an issue for quite some time, except for when they went to the Super Bowl with Todd Gurley. And then just comparing the 2 running games, I'll take Leonard Fournette, Giovanni Bernard, Keyshawn Vaughn over this current Rams team. So I'm going with the Buccaneers in this one. And they get the NFC Championship at home if the 49ers win. So definitely an added bonus for them as well. And now, Joe, last game, probably game of the weekend. AFC, Bills at the Chiefs, rematch of last year's AFC Championship game. A lot of people are just kind of calling this the Super Bowl, as they have determined that these are probably some of the 2 best teams in the NFL playing. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Stephon Diggs, Tyreek Hill, defensive players. We got the Chiefs as a 2-point home favorite right now. The over-under is 54. Joe, and if the Bengals win, the winner of this game gets the AFC Championship game at home. So that's just an added bonus if you're a team like the Buffalo Bills going on the road, say, hey, all we got to do is win AFC Championship in our house, Bills Mafia. Chiefs, they just have to win, obviously. But if the Bengals do win, a little added bonus, like why is it the 49ers win, added bonus for that Rams Buccaneers game. This is a tough one, Joe. Preseason, I picked the Bills to win the AFC and to go to the Super Bowl. A couple of weeks ago, last week for our wild card teams, when we readjusted our Super Bowl picks, yours no longer exists, Joe. But we'll forget about that.
We don't need to rehash that.
I said the Chiefs. The Chiefs are playing better ball right now. I said the Chiefs and the Bucs, and the Chiefs to win the rematch. I want the Bills to win, Joe. I really do, because I would love to see Bills Mafia AFC Championship game, potential Super Bowl as well, because Bills are well equipped to beat the Bengals or Titans, and obviously so are the Chiefs. No doubt about that. I just think the Chiefs win. It's really hard. I mean, Bills won at the Chiefs this past season, week 5, I believe. Sunday Night Football, it was a blowout. Josh Allen, 5 touchdowns. Defense was creating some turnovers and giving Mahomes trouble. I think it was like 37-18 or some like weird score like that. I don't think you do that twice to Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, not in the same building. I'm going with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. I'm going with the Chiefs. But, Joe, what are your thoughts, and who's your pick?
Yeah, I mean, Tim, I've had my bias against Buffalo all season.
Yes, you have.
I'm not going to stop picking against them now. I think that last week against the Patriots, it kind of showed how, if both these teams play at their best, then the Bills will win, because the Bills are the more talented overall roster. But I think that last week might have been the Bills' Super Bowl.
That's what I've been saying. I think last week was their Super Bowl.
It was a huge win.
Now,
huge win over a divisional opponent.
Now, if they only beat the Patriots by 1 score or 3 points, or they barely squeaked it out, maybe I'm picking the Bills this week. But you could tell they put in a lot of effort to just kick the shit out of the Patriots last week. And so I agree with you on that one. So, yeah, I continue with your thoughts. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. I mean, and we've talked about, not being able to run the ball in the playoffs. We'll have to see how that ends up going. I'm just going to go with the team that I've seen been able to win in the playoffs, Tim. The Bills have found ways to lose and not really, gone and grabbed the bull by the horns and really won these games themselves in the postseason outside of this past week against the Patriots. So, I think that the Chiefs are just a more veteran team overall. And while the Bills, if they bring their A game and the Chiefs bring their A game, I think the Bills will get the win, but I just don't see that same type of performance happening 2 weeks in a row, especially against, a much more talented team in the Kansas City Chiefs than the Patriots. So give me the Chiefs, give me Patrick Mahomes. Bills Mafia, you're going home sad, baby. Sorry, Ryan Fitzpatrick, I love you.
Yeah. All right. So we're going opposite on the games today. The Saturday games were the same on Sunday. Now, just a quick question, just a fun question. Of the 4 teams you did not pick, who would you think is most capable of pulling off the upside? I know you were just talking about the Bills, but is there another team, whether it's the Rams or maybe the 49ers or Bengals, that you're like, if they win, I guess, like, just a fun question.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably see the Bills winning, most likely of those, but I could see the Niners or the Bengals really getting it, simply because, well, with the Bengals, I just think that they're a little bit more closer in talent level to the Titans than the 49ers are to the Packers. But, I see that, there's a formula for the 49ers to win against the Packers that has been successful for them in the past. So I could really see those 2 games kind of going either way. I could absolutely see the Bills winning against the Chiefs. I really don't see Matt Stafford and the Rams being able to get the win against the Buccaneers. That's the one that I probably would feel is the most secure. But Tim, that probably means that the Rams are going to blow them out, and every other thing that I've said is wrong so far. So, what? We'll see what happens there.
I wouldn't mind the Rams winning either. I mean, I wouldn't mind really any of these teams winning. And if the Rams do win, number one, that's no Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, or likely no Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. Plus, I mean, Super Bowl's in LA this year, so maybe we go back-to-back years with the home team being playing the Super Bowl in their home stadium. Next year's in Arizona, so they'll be in the Super Bowl until week 10, and then they start losing some games.
There you go.
But Joe, any final words on this divisional weekend? I mean, we got 4 games this week. Next week, we only got 2. Then we got the Pro Bowl, and then we got the Super Bowl. So not a lot of football to be played, Joe, but this is the best football we'll be seeing. So any final words for this weekend?
Man, it should be a great weekend of football. I'm thrilled that we got this coldy day. Cold. I just combined 2 words. We got this cold, snowy day here to enjoy football and just not go anywhere. So I think it's going to be a great weekend for football, Tim. But one other little tidbit about coaching stuff: Jonathan Gannon, Eagles defensive coordinator, somehow just getting a ton of interest. I think he's interviewed with the Texans and has a second interview set up. It might be the favorite.
All right.
The Vikings and the Broncos. I think he's a dark horse for the Broncos. I would love if he gets hired. He was okay this year, but I would like to see a Vic Fangio or a Wink Martindale in that role as well, and just kind of get a little bit more of a veteran defensive coach there, because I really like that setup when the Eagles had Doug Peterson, new coach, kind of not a ton of experience, but they paired him with a very experienced defensive coordinator and Jim Schwartz, who was a former head coach, and just allowed Doug to focus on the offense and Jim Schwartz to kind of just handle the defense. So I'd like to see that for the Eagles personally. I wouldn't be mad about it, but I think it's interesting that Jonathan Gannon's getting as much hype as he is. I mean, this is his first year as a defensive coordinator. He was the Colts secondary and the Vikings assistant secondary coach the years prior.
Oh, the Vikings have had a great secondary the past few years.
It's been a couple years since he was with them, but it's just kind of surprising. I mean, the Eagles didn't necessarily have a great defense. I mean, did none of these teams watch what happened when the Eagles faced good offenses? I mean, it was historical numbers that were being put up against us. So I don't know. We'll see what happens there. But it was something else to keep an eye on in regards to the coaching search.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll have a couple of updates when we recap these games in the next couple of days. I know it's our birthday week, Joe, so that's hype. Happy birthday to us, and definitely our viewers definitely wish us happy birthday. We'll put in our Venmos or something in the in the description.
That'd be cool.
But anyways, yeah, we'll be back to recap. We'll do our conference championship picks, and then we'll think of something creative to do kind of in between the couple of weeks between conference championships and Super Bowl, maybe even looking at our season predictions. So we have a couple ideas, but anyways, folks, I think that'll wrap it up today. That's Joey D over there. I'm Timmy B. Make sure to like, subscribe. Thank you for watching the Flea Flicker, and go football.
Bye. Go football, baby. Peace.